Limbo, and I am super excited to have my friends from SOTA Imaging back. There's so many updates. There's so many things we want to talk about. But before we go any further, because there's a lot of people who are new to the group and don't know who these guys are, you will definitely know about them. But guys, if you can introduce yourself. So we got Albert and Dustin from SOTA Imaging. I'm going to start with you, Dustin. If you can introduce yourself, a little bit about your background and what you do at SOTA. And then Albert, you do that. And of course, talk about what SOTA Imaging is all about. So Dustin, I'm going to start with you, my friend.
Yeah, sure. So I'm Dustin Johnson. I'm the Director of Engineering here at SOTA Imaging. I'm basically the lead of our engineering team. So I lead all of our software developers, manage all of our engineering contractors, and I'm very involved in all of the design and development of every one of our products. And so that's kind of my expertise and why I'm here to talk to you today. Albert, do you want to jump in?
Great. Yeah. Again, thanks, Dr. Vo, for the opportunity. I always love doing these. My name is Albert Kim. I'm the VP of Sales and Marketing at SOTA Imaging, and I oversee everything sales and marketing. But in the last few years, been really involved in the product development side along with Dustin. So that's been really fun. A little background on SOTA Imaging, and just to clear the air, SOTA stands for state of the art. It's not a Japanese word, or a lot of people confuse that, but yeah, SOTA does mean state of the art.
So I have to jump in there. I thought it was like a Japanese word or a Japanese company and stuff. So I'm glad that you cleared that up.
Yeah, I like hearing that because a lot of people think so, and they mispronounce the name to SOTA Imaging or something like that, and they sometimes butcher the name, but it is an acronym for state of the art. We are an American-based company, and we've been around for about 30 years. And we got started as an optics manufacturer. So we designed specialized optics for various industries, medical, aerospace. And during the 90s, when intraoral cameras became popular in the dental space, that's when we segued into dental and started becoming a OEM or a manufacturer for a lot of the different brands out there. And that eventually led us to making our own brand, which is the Claris Camera. And that was in the early 2000s. And eventually that led us to building sensors and software. And our latest project, which we did the Facebook Live a few weeks ago, was for the SOTA Cloud. And that was a project that Dustin led. And that's been our big flagship product. But we also do have sensors and cameras, and we're here to talk about that as well.
Yeah, so we'll talk about all those things. And just to let you guys know, I actually have just switched over. I don't know, Dustin, has it been like a couple of weeks now? Maybe longer than that, right?
Yeah, a couple of weeks or so.
Like a couple of weeks, I switched over to the cloud imaging software that SOTA has. And again, like so many of us that have been posting in the group, they're like, hey, we have to look for different options because things are moving towards the cloud. And then there was always concerns like I think someone who is really big in IT, which blows my mind. I'm not going to call you out, buddy. I'm not going to call you out, but blows my mind. You have an IT company, and then you're like, oh, well, it's really expensive to go towards cloud-based. And it just kind of blew my mind because, as an IT, I'm not an IT professional. I'm just a dentist who has Google Drive and iCloud and stuff like that. But even a guy like me, I can even tell that things are moving towards the cloud. But what's so cool about what SOTA has is, okay, so it's cloud-based, so you can just access it on the browser. But it's really easy to use. And I know we're going to talk about some stuff, but I really want to talk about this because it's really easy to use. My team learned it. And, each time you switch to something new, like we switched from I guess what I was using, Dustin, was would you call that like a server base or a license base or?
Yeah, or like on-premise. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So I wasn't sure what the actual words were, but we switched from that. And honestly, now it's so easy for my team to use. It's like a no-brainer. So Dustin, can we just talk about that really quick? Because there was a thread recently and someone was saying, well, why do you want to waste money on the cloud? Blah, 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 all those things. And I was like, come on, man, you should already know that this is where things are going, whether you like it or not. That's where it's going. You know, everything.
And to be clear, you should like it. So there's a lot of benefits to going cloud. And I think that, a couple things that I just want to hit on right away for that are how many times have you been down because you've had problems with your on-premise software? You have to loop your IT company in. You got to call them, schedule things out, get them logged in. It might take them, a while to resolve those issues. How many times have you run into problems where, you had a database issue and you couldn't take images or, any of these kinds of things. And how many times we had just a quick anecdote. We had a user that was in our early beta program who's basically, we converted their database into cloud, and 2 weeks later, their entire server went down. One of their hard drives crashed. It completely took out their server. They were down for weeks. So a lot of IT companies will say, well, if you have an IT service provider, we'll get you up and running in a couple of days or, in a couple hours even sometimes. But being realistic, sometimes you have to send those drives out for data recovery. And that takes weeks because now you're on somebody else's time. You're on another company's time. With our solution, with cloud, everything that we have is redundant. So we have your data in multiple different places in the United States at any given time. We're in Microsoft Azure data centers. If one data center has a problem, we can immediately bring your service back up. You'll never notice any downtime, okay? And your data is always safe and secure. It's encrypted at rest, encrypted in transit. You hear all of these things about ransomware attacks and everything that you can experience on your local server. I mean, what happens if you get ransomware in your office? All of that protected health information that you're responsible for maintaining as a dentist, all of that HIPAA compliant, HIPAA information, you have to, at that point, once you get affected by ransomware, send out notices to all of your patients telling them that their data has been exposed to a third party without their consent. That's required by the government. You have to do that. And so the burden of that on a dental provider, I mean, think about it. You're a clinician, you're a manager of a business, you have the day-to-day headaches of having to operate this practice by yourself. And on top of that, you have to worry about on-premise IT. Why do you want to do all of that, right? And so this move towards the cloud for, our solution for SOTA Cloud for imaging, for CareStack and their practice management solutions. I mean, this is taking a lot of the burden of this PHI off of the back of the dentist. And there's always going to be other PHI in your practice, but it's like if 95% of that is off of your shoulders, then the relief that brings is a lot. And the other end of that is that it's cheaper now. It's a lot less expensive than it used to be. So I really recommend that those practitioners look into that. I mean, just the cost savings to that one anecdote that I gave you about that doctor being down for 2 weeks. They switched to our beta program. That whole 2 weeks that they had no practice management because their practice management was on-prem, they had imaging. Yeah. They had full access to imaging. They had to do paper charting for that 2 weeks because they weren't on cloud practice management yet. But they could take all their x-rays. They could bring up their x-rays. They had no problems on the imaging side. Okay. And if they had cloud practice management, it would have been exactly the same for that. So these are critical aspects of your business. And I highly recommend you go with the most reliable solution, which is going to be very likely in the 21st century and 2020, 2021, 2022 in the cloud.
I love that. I'm glad that you shared that as well, because again, I felt like, I wanted to make that comment there because everyone's looking at it like, oh, okay, what? I wasn't paying for anything more and all this. I was like, look, guys, it's going in that direction. And there's also, you're not just paying for, okay, this is imaging, it's just in cloud. Yes, it is. But until you've actually done the demo and see how things are integrated, like being able to take intraoral photos and things going right into the imaging software, it is so convenient. And it's super convenient because also you can put whatever template you want and it's multiple, literally just a couple of clicks. I think, Dustin, on our last Facebook Live, and if you guys are interested, we already have another video just in the group about literally we went through a demo here. So please watch that because we're going to talk about other stuff as well. But you know what? Dustin's in the group. There's a few other team members. Chloe, who's one of the team members in there. I've tagged her in a couple of posts. Reach out to her. And of course, Brandon Bomar is a dealer for them in our group. Everyone knows about Brandon, right? Talk to these people, right? They can set you up with those things. But Dustin, real quick before we shift gears here, you were saying that you guys had or you tested there's literally a few clicks and then you can get everything, you can take an x-ray Can
Yep.
you just, like refresh our memories what that was? Was it like 2 clicks or 3 clicks or something
2
like
clicks.
that?
Yeah.
2
So,
clicks.
so once you've bridged your patient, it takes you 2 clicks to take your first X-ray with that patient.
There you go. I love it. I love it. I love
And
it.
that include that's 1 click just to choose your template, and then 1 click to hit go and start your X-rays. That's it. We've automated the whole workflow for you. You don't have to do anything.
Awesome. So before we just slide on out here and move on to other stuff, but Albert, let me ask you this. I mean, how has the reception been for, the response been for the imaging software for the people you've talked to, for the people who transitioned? Because you guys already had an imaging solution and now you have a cloud base, So what has this response been from the SOTA clients that you've talked to?
So, I mean, we're very fortunate. I think all of the responses that we've gotten have been positive. And that's a rarity, especially when there's a lot of demand for this type of product. One thing that I will mention is if you're coming from on-prem and going to our cloud solution, there's no feedback, only positive feedback about the speed. Usually, one thing is if you go from on-prem to cloud, you might sacrifice a little speed depending on your network or just the infrastructure of that cloud software. But I think by design, and I think our development team did an excellent job here, the architecture was created such that it's fast. When you bring up your data, it's immediate. So that pain from going from on-prem to cloud is not felt on the speed side. So
right, and so just to jump in, I think Dr. Vo, for example, you're using Apex sensors is one of the sensors.
Apex. Apex sensors.
And so when you take an image, you should notice that those images are uploaded very, very quickly. It's basically like it's on-prem, right? Yes. And so that's by design, and that's because our system is so modern compared to some of these other kind of legacy like Web 2.0 or Web 1.0 systems that are on the market, right? Jim Gerson has a thing that he likes to say about our software that it's Web 2.0. Like it's basically there's nothing else like it out there, right? And I think probably from your experience, you would agree with that.
It's definitely faster than what I used before. That was on-prem that you were just saying. It's actually
faster than your on-prem. Yeah.
It's actually faster. But also, what's really cool is that when you're navigating the data, the interface, it's so easy. Right. Like the one we used before, we had to click like 3 or 4 times, or we had to open different files to look at different things. And if you wanted to see an image that you already took or an image that was previously taken at a different appointment, it is so quick to get over there. And I think that is the biggest thing that my team, they really appreciate. It's always annoying or there's a lot of pressure when I'm like talking to a patient and I want to see some images and they're clicking around, they're scrolling, they're trying to find like where those images are. And when it comes to the SOTA Cloud, it's literally right there. Like it's so easy to find. You don't have to click and go into multiple folders. I may just do a video there. I'll just out of respect for other companies, I'll try to like not show like what that is, but I'll show you guys. It's still there. I'll show you guys how many clicks it takes for me to find something as opposed to like SOTA imaging. And so again, cloud-based, we already know that's where it's going. Whether you guys like it or not, that's the thing. Like whether you like it or not, it's just like the people who had like paper charts, right? I like paper charts. I don't ever want to get rid of it. Well, you're going to have to. Oh, hey, I like, here's a good one. Oh, I like phosphor plates. It's so much more fuller. I want to do it. I don't want a sensor. Well, everyone's using sensor now, right? So here's the thing. It's going there. You might as well go with the company that, again, has a track record like SOTA, and then as well as like the support. And then you can see the demos right here, right? We got all the demos. Okay, let's switch gears. Okay, so Albert, we had talked about this on another Facebook Live, and I want to bring it up right off the bat. There is a policy that SOTA likes to employ. It's like I have the image right here. Can't decide, try free for 7 days. So, number one, Albert, is that something you guys still do? And why is that so important to you guys to give people that opportunity to try it out for 7 days? Like why is that important? And why are you guys so confident about that? Let's talk about that. So first of all, is it still around, and why you guys do it, and why you're so confident about it?
Yeah, absolutely. It is still around, and it's been a very popular program that we've had for years. And it's all about peace of mind. When you're switching sensors, the sensors is probably the most highest touch point product that any dental office will use. You're taking x-rays every day on multiple patients. So this is a very critical piece in the whole environment. So we just want to make sure and give peace of mind that this is going to work, and it's going to work well for you. And we are confident there because a lot of our just domain knowledge that we built up by having sensors and being able to integrate with all the different platforms out there gave us a lot of confidence in making sure this works. And even though there's multiple manufacturers with similar component sensors out there, when it comes to integration, that's something that's done by our development team, and that's proprietary to us. So even if you have a similar hardware, the integration solutions might not be the same. So
that is I'm glad you brought that up. That is actually really big because, again, I mean, yeah, you can buy other sensors, but again, that's a big component too. Once you open the box, right, and trying to figure that's the hard part right there, right? It's not getting physically getting it. It's actually being able to make it work with what you have. So I'm glad you brought that up. I'm going to put you on the spot though, Albert. I'm giving you all the hard questions. I'm giving all the softball questions to Dustin because he's the tech. I'm going to give you all the hard questions, Albert, because you're the man in the main guy, the sales team. How often, whenever you guys send these, give someone, they take advantage of this offer, they're like, okay, I'll try free for 7 days. Like, give me like a percentage or something. How often do people say, you know what? Hey, thanks, and I'm going to just ship it back to you? How often does that happen?
I would like to say 0, but obviously, nothing's perfect. But it's a very high percentage of, and this is why we did a lot of trial and error in the beginning to pilot this program. But we really wanted to make that experience seamless and get that percentage up. If it wasn't high, then we wouldn't be doing it.
Oh, yeah.
Make business sense. So
yeah.
I don't know the exact percentage, but it's pretty low.
Most people who try it, they're like, I like it, I want to keep it.
Yeah, and we do a good job. Our team does a good job of vetting the office as well. So we'll ask questions of what imaging platform are you currently on, what sensors are you currently using, and what are some of the expectations or the needs of that particular office. So we take that all into consideration when we ship out these products, and so that our implementation or sales team is ready to integrate that into your specific environment. So we've been pretty successful with that.
I'm glad you brought that up because here's the thing. I mean, I'm a dentist, and you guys already know that a lot of times we are always pitched by all these different companies, like all the time, right? It's like going to a club at ladies' night, and if you're a lady, all these people are coming up to you, right? It's like that's how we feel, right, as dentists, right? But what's so cool is that you guys make sure that we are a right fit when you do this program. Because most other companies will be like, you know what? I just want to make the sale. I don't care what happens. Mm-hmm. But you guys actually care. You actually want to make sure that it's a right solution. So I'm glad that you brought up that the SOTA team actually takes that time to make sure, like, hey, is this exactly what you want? Is this going to work with what you have? And making sure that we're on the same page, because again, like if you guys didn't care, you would just actually you wouldn't even have this try free 7 days. You would send it. Oh, it doesn't work. I'm so sorry. You're stuck with it. So again, guys,
and that's actually something that I kind of want to just jump in and say too. Yeah. One thing that makes us the right fit for so many practices, and I being in my position as kind of like that almost like the head of technology here at SOTA, right? I interact with our support team on a regular basis. Mm-hmm. And our support team, those are the guys that are every single demo that we send out. They're the ones that are helping you get that product installed, right? And one thing to know about these guys is that they're incredibly well versed in all of the different softwares that are out there on the market. Mm-hmm. And so, we do a really good job, I think, compared to a lot of companies. We get this feedback all the time. our tech support team isn't the kind of team to say, oh, this is a hardware problem I'm sorry, a software problem. With the software that we're trying to integrate into, you're going to have to contact, Dexis or Cavo or whatever, one of these other brands, so that they can help you, because of the software side that's not our product, right? Our team is so well versed in these other products that, with basically one touch, we can pretty much get everybody set up with our devices and have a very smooth experience. And this lends itself to the fact that, we do have a huge portion of our development team, our hours are spent towards doing the integrations for these devices and these different softwares. And so, for example, the CLEO Prime and CLEO Pitot devices are some of the only, sensors on the market that you can get that integrate, almost natively into EagleSoft. So they do the auto advancing and the templates and everything else, right? A lot of products on the market say they're compatible, but then they have twains and they have some of these other things that make the workflow less, more burdensome, basically, in the workflow. Okay, and so we spend a lot of development hours making sure that those burdens are not there. It just works, and that's a big part of our time here, not just on the development side, but also our support team.
So Dustin, I noticed because you're the main tech guy over there. I noticed that it looks like there might be some sensors on your table there.
Yeah, there are.
Do you mind holding that up? Because I'm just curious there. Could you? So these are the CLEO sensors.
Sure.
And Albert, I want to ask you this while he's kind of like holding it up to the camera and showing that to everyone. Albert, so the CLEO sensors, was that one of the first products that SOTA, is that like the flagship product? Like what you guys, was it the Claris Camera?
The Claris Camera came before the sensors, so we had the Claris Camera before that. But
you have a Claris Camera there over there?
Yeah, and that's the latest iteration. I think that's the 5th generation Claris.
Yeah.
So again, being an optics company and wanting to, or just building a lot of different imaging devices, we started with cameras, and that's where we really set our standard to want to have the best in class.
Yeah, I mean that's the 5th version of the Claris. And then as far as the sensors, how long have you guys been? How long has the CLEO sensor been on the market? Because I think it's really important that we let people know, because you know this, Albert, right? It's almost like there's a new sensor every year, right? Like there's a new company every year. We're like, what is this? Who is this? And so I think for me, a lot of times track records is really important, because I want to make sure that, hey, I bought a sensor, and then I'm looking around and either the company's gone or they rebranded and they became something else and all that different stuff. Talk about like how long the CLEO sensor has been. Obviously, we know Claris Camera has been around, but what about those sensors that Dustin just held up?
Yeah, so the ones that Dustin actually held up, that's our 2nd generation sensor. So that's the CLEO Prime and CLEO Pitot, but our CLEO Classic, or our legacy product, that's been on the market for, I think this year was our 10-year anniversary.
Oh, wow.
So during those 10 years, we learned a lot about sensors. We learned a lot about just the background industry. And, there's really only 4 or 5 factories that manufacture these sensors, but there's tons of companies that represent them. Right. And, we extensively vetted each one of these factories and got really deep into just the process of making sensors. And that's why we chose what we thought was the best one, which is now the iteration of the CLEO Prime and the CLEO Pitot.
Yeah,
but the hardware is one thing, right? It's just one thing. You said the big part is the integration piece, right? That's always the big part there. Go ahead, Dustin. Sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say, just to nerd out a little bit here for you, One thing that's important to understand about these, I mean, I'm on the Nifty Thrifty group, and I see people talking all the time about, why are sensors so expensive? Like, what's the big deal, right? It's interesting to know that, these are made in a foundry where they have to produce silicon wafers to cut into the dies for these things. Multi-billion-dollar foundries. And obviously sensors is not like, the camera in your phone where there's like a massive market, right? And so, there's only a handful of these companies that manufacture these things. Okay. And so one of the things that I just wanted to highlight in terms of provenance, I mean, Albert said, this sensor's only been on the market for 10 years. But, the hardware, just to understand about these, I mean, I'm on the Nifty Thrifty group, and I see people talking all the time about, why are sensors so expensive? Like, what's the big deal, right? It's interesting to know that, these are made in a foundry where they have to produce silicon wafers to cut into the dies for these things. Multi-billion-dollar foundries. And so, there's only a handful of these companies that manufacture these things. Okay. And so, there's only a handful of these companies that manufacture these things. this particular, our second generation one, for about a year now. But in terms of the way that we vet our manufacturers who provide the components that go inside of these things, one thing that I just kind of want to highlight here is, for the longest time, one of the biggest, most expensive, but most successful sensors on the market was the Dexus Platinum. We all know that, right? And so, one thing that a lot of people are kind of confused about when they're looking for a value-based sensor that's high quality is, really because there's only a handful of foundries that produce these parts. There's a lot of overlap in the component suppliers and the supply chains for these things. Okay. And so, I can tell you in terms of provenance, the components that are inside of this sensor are upgraded versions from the same manufacturer that brought you the Dexus Platinum. Okay. And so, when you're buying one of these sensors, there's companies out there that are charging huge markups on these things. Okay. For what is fundamentally, a very similar product. All right. And so, when you're purchasing a sensor from us, there's provenance in these devices. They've been tested, they've been around for a long time, and we're only working with the very best companies to make these things happen.
I love it. All right, before I give Albert more hard questions, because he's a fellow Asian, and we're used to getting hard questions and
bring it on, Glenn,
and getting pushed to overachieve. I'm going to bring more there. Before I do that, though, Dustin, let me ask you about the Claris camera.
Sure.
And again, it's very popular in my group. People are always like, "Hey, you can get this camera. You get this camera, right?" And people are like, "Well, you shouldn't spend more on this camera and whatnot." And, to some people that makes sense, right? But to some people who want like a crisper image and all those different things, it makes sense for them. So can you just talk about the actual, and we'll talk just facts here, right?
Sure.
What are the facts as far as this camera? What does it have that the other cheaper cameras do not have? We'll just talk facts.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk about basically what this camera is first, okay? Versus some of the other cameras on the market. So this camera has an adjustable focus. Okay, so this is the focus bar. All right, we can get you down to basically 2 millimeters away from the surface of whatever it is that you're trying to take a picture of. All right, now if you compare, it's kind of like comparing like a Tesla to like a Toyota Yaris or something. Maybe Toyota Yaris might even be too generous. Okay, there's let's just talk about, so to have that adjustable focus, what are the optics that go into this? There's a 7-element optical stack. Okay, the focus is very precision machined and it's very smooth, right? So there's machining costs involved. All right, we have a fully anodized aluminum machined housing on this product. Okay, it's not a cheap plastic kind of casing. The cable, we use a very robust industrial grade cable on the end of this so that your cables are not wearing out. All right. So this camera is a camera that's going to last you for years and years and years and give you the best image quality. Okay. It's a 1080p imager on the inside of this. Okay. So you have a 1080p high definition sensor, and combined with that very complex, very precise 7-element optical stack that gives you those. And I'm using kind of like, I don't want to like make it sound, too crazy, but that's what gives you the clear images that you can get from this thing. And they're clearer than anything else in the industry. You can compare this, side by side with any other product, and you're going to get two things. You're going to get a high resolution image, a sharp image, and you're going to get an image with low distortion. And that's a big thing that we call out too. Okay. So on some of these cheaper cameras, it's basically a webcam, pinhole camera with a single element optic. And so you'll notice when you get close to things, which you're in the mouth, it's macro, right? Mm-hmm. What are you getting? You're getting this kind of fisheye effect where you get this crazy amount of distortion. We have almost a perfectly flat field with this because we actually made sure that, the device is engineered, to give you, low distortion, right? It's not just a webcam thrown into an intraoral camera body. All right. So I could go on and on, but that's the gist. Basically you take every element of the camera and you make it 1,000 times better. And that's what you're buying when you buy this. Yeah. And not only that, you're also paying for the fact that we stand behind this product. Okay. You can get your cameras repaired, years out from your date of purchase if you drop it or something happens to it. It's not oh, you broke it, I'll just swap it out with another one. This is a medical device. This isn't a webcam in an intraoral camera body. Right.
We probably get multiple calls a week.
That's why I wanted you guys to talk about that, because again, that's a popular thing, right? And I love that, Dustin, you used the car analogy, and I think the car that you were trying to say was the Chevy Bolt. I think you were talking about
maybe.
Yeah, because you were being too generous with the Toyota.
Too generous for sure.
Yeah, you did too generous, right? So we're comparing, like, it's kind of like a Model S, guys. It's like a Model.
It's like a Model S versus a Matchbox car. Let's be real here. Okay. Anyway.
Yeah, I mean, like the Chevy Bolt, I think it's like probably on the lowest end on the electric cars, and I know this because my son loves cars and he loves Teslas. And I made a comment to him, and he's 8 years old, by the way, guys. I just made a comment. It's like, you can get any electric car, and he literally came back like with a report, and he says, "No, Dad. I mean, like it's like the Chevy Bolt," and he was talking about the Hyundai Electric, and all. I was like, "What the heck?" I was like, "This guy's really angling to try to get himself a Tesla when he's 16, But anyways, yes. So again, I wanted to talk about that, and yes, Albert, you were saying like you probably get a bunch of calls there, and that's. Everyone always says that. Everyone says like, well, I can use this camera. Well, if your practice depends on images to get case presentation, if you depend on that, then wouldn't you want to have the best pictures? I'm just saying, guys. I'm just saying.
Well,
just like people taking like patient photos, right? Like,
sure.
would you use your some people use their phones, but some people have like these crazy DSLR cameras with the lens that can go in, look into someone's house a mile away. You're using all that stuff. If you're paying that much for that camera, wouldn't it make sense there? But Albert, you were saying, people are calling,
and they always have a point of self-actualization where, oh yeah, I went with the cheaper camera. Oh, it's breaking every 3 months, every 6 months, and at some point they're like, you know what? It's just not worth it. So let me see what's out there. Let me see what the best is. And once they go with ours, they never look back, because again, like Dustin said, this is a product that's going to last you years and years. And when they see those crisper, just high resolution images, and when they're using it for case presentations, the patients notice. They're like, oh wow, that's an amazing photo that usually you can't get with any other camera device. They're not used to seeing, a 40x magnified picture of their molar with all the cracks, and it does make a difference even to the patient. So
just to add on to that too, the one thing to consider here is when you're doing your case presentation, what are you doing it on? You're doing it on a large television usually, or something along those lines that's mounted to your wall. It's a big 1080p 4K TV, and you're trying to show this little 480p standard resolution image that's blown up and all pixelated on this gigantic TV. I mean, is that giving your patients a good impression of your practice? Probably not, right? And that actually leads me into one other thing that I just want to throw out there, because I know this is the Nifty Thrifty group, and everybody's always looking for the niftiest, thriftiest way to get more out of their products, right? And so one thing that I want to point out, I mean, we see this, again, I interact with our support team all the time. We're remoting into people's computers, and usually we can tell like, oh, what's the resolution of the monitors that they're using, right? So let's just think about like one thing that you can do. And Glenn, this might be the one of those kind of catch lines. The one simple trick that you can use to improve your image quality, right? I mean, that's basically what it is. Use a high definition monitor, because think about it. You pay $5,000+ for your intraoral sensors. Okay, you're purchasing your intraoral sensors. They're high resolution devices, higher resolution than your monitors probably are, but you're still using square, monitors in your practice. And so you're not using the full resolution of the devices that you're actually, doing your diagnostics with, and you're using for your clinical practice, right? So, you can spend $100 on a 1080p high definition monitor and immediately reap the benefits of basically, 4 times the resolution of that little square box that you've been using for, 10+ years, right? And so you think like, okay, I'm looking at a sensor that's X amount versus X amount. If you're not starting from using just a $100 high definition monitor, You need to put your priorities in order here, right? And so that's the one simple trick to get better.
And then also, I mean, if you think long term, it's just like what Albert was saying, right? Like, I mean, he has people calling you guys all the time, and they use some cheap camera and it keeps breaking. And honestly, by the time they go through all those cameras, they could have gotten like multiple upon multiple Claris cameras, right?
Sure.
But again, I mean, if your practice is dependent on it, now maybe your practice is not, but if your practice is dependent on images to help you sell a case, you want the best one. And we I don't even have, these guys don't have to explain it to you. I mean, I will tell you guys how many of those big cases how many of those, let's just talk about bread and butter. Like, you get a crown off of your first image from the Claris camera, you already paid for it multiple times, right? And if it hasn't, then that's another Facebook Live you need to tune into about raising your fees if that's not doing that. So we can talk about that later. But okay, so you guys did bring up that you guys are in the Nifty Thrifty group. And yes, there is Thrifty, but there's also Nifty as well. And a lot of things that SOTA is doing, I would say, is very nifty. And if you look at long-term costs and savings, it actually is thrifty if you really think about it. So with that being said, Albert, I did tell you that you were going to get all the hard questions today. So now we're going to bring it to you. So Albert, let's start with this. What is the normal price for the SOTA sensors? And there's two. If you guys look at the images, there's the CLEO Prime and there's the CLEO Pico, which is very, very, very much appreciated for practices that have kids. And then, of course, you have the Claris. So let's talk about the normal pricing, Albert. What's the normal retail prices normally?
The retail price, and again, we always try to bring the best value, but with the standard of highest quality. So, Dustin was mentioning that a lot of these companies, they will put a high margin. We take that into consideration, and we just always want to be fair with our pricing. Mm-hmm. But the retail pricing, to answer your question, is $8,000, $79.95.
And what does that compare? Again, I'm giving you all the hard questions. You know, Dustin already got all the softball questions. I'm going to give you all the hard questions. And what does that compare when you're talking about the other big sensors out in the market, like as far as pricing goes?
Yeah, so I'm not gonna compare all of the the what they call the trunk slammers or the bottom feeder, the cheap sensors out there. Yeah. But I want to compare more apples to apples. So again, Dustin was mentioning that our factory that we vetted and that we chose was also the factory that brought you the Dexus Platinum. So if you look at the Dexus Platinum, that retails for about $12,000. Mm-hmm. And again, these are it's pretty much the same sensor with upgraded components and at a 30% discount just on the retail price. Okay, so 12,000 versus 8,000, same sensor, maybe even better sensor. So
definitely better sensor.
Definitely better sensor.
So now let's talk about the Claris camera. Again, the Claris camera. What is the normal retail? And guys, we're not even. I know a bunch of you, and there's a lot of you guys on here. You guys definitely came on because you know that I normally do the Nifty deal at the 30-minute mark. Okay, you're gonna have to wait. You're gonna have to wait because we're still talking here. So Albert, what is the normal retail price for the Claris camera?
The normal retail price for the Claris camera is $3,500.
Okay,
and we do have a nifty deal for you guys. So.
Now, compared to other cameras in the same kind of level, right? Because we already talked about it. There's a lot of cheap intraoral cameras out there. I mean, heck, you can even buy some of those cameras on Amazon, right? But, when you're buying it from Amazon, that should tell you something already, okay? That should tell you something already. But, again, we're not comparing this to that, right? It's like comparing the Model S to the Chevy Bolt, right? It's not the same thing. We're not... That's a different type of company there. So compare it to like the other comparable cameras out there, Albert, to the Claris. As far as the pricing goes, how does it stack up?
Yeah, again, I think when it comes to pricing, the retail price, it's middle of the road. Mm-hmm. If you look at really expensive camera like a Digidoc, they're retailing for around $5,000.
Yeah.
again, we're not shooting for those bottom feeders and trying to make us, a $300 camera. This is pretty much the best thing that you're going to get in terms of an intraoral camera, the highest quality images, and just the build. If you look at this thing and you feel it, it just feels different. It feels, as smooth as like your iPhone. I think one of our components, I think that the housing of the component was actually made in the same factory as the iPhone cases.
The anodization.
Yeah, the anodization. So it's just a very high quality build, and middle of the road price, and you just get the
middle of the road price, but it's like basically top of the line camera. So let's Albert's being very modest here. I've demoed it, I've used it. It's probably the best camera you're going to be able to use, right? There's other competitors out there, but there's no Nifty deal. And with that being said, Albert's all about the taking all the hard questions. Hold on. There we go. I got that. Okay. So Albert, more hard questions for you because you love all the hard questions. Everyone here, they're waiting around. They want a Nifty deal. They're demanding a Nifty deal. And so here you are. Here's your chance to talk about the Nifty deal.
So the Nifty deal, we know how much the Nifty group likes a good deal. So we put a lot of effort into curating the best promo for you guys, and it's the end of the year, and so we've come up with something really aggressive, if you will. And so just right off the bat, the retail price, again, $79.95. We're taking $2,000 off, bringing that down to $59.95. And that's a screaming deal on its own.
Yeah.
But what we're doing is we're going to do something unprecedented here. One of the big things when it comes to value of sensors, and because, again, I mentioned that it's a high touch point product, you want to go with a company that gives you good support and warranty. Warranty is a big kind of key word here when it comes to sensors, because sensors get used a lot and they break.
Yeah.
You want them to be covered and you want them to be supported by a responsive company. So those are two things that we really emphasize. And what we're doing for the Nifty group and through the end of the year is providing a free 5-year warranty. That's just going to be included. There's no hidden fees. A lot of these other companies, they'll be like, okay, it's a 1-year warranty or a 2-year warranty. And then if you want extension, it's going to be X
you got to
amount.
pay something. Yeah,
you got to pay something. We're doing a complete 5-year warranty included in the price of $59.95. Unprecedented. Best deal, hands down, when it comes to sensors. But there's some urgency here because we're only extending that until the end of the year.
Okay.
And right now, it's been super popular. I'll just say that. We can't keep them on the shelves because, again, it's all about the warranty. It's all about the support. Obviously, you want that with a great product, and that's what we're offering.
I love that. And here's the thing, guys. It's like, look, hey, you basically got the Black Friday deal before everyone, right? Like this is like the ultimate deal here. First of all, $2,000 off. I mean, that takes their sensor, which is on the level of the top sensors out in the market. It puts it on the level of those other cheap sensors, right? But they're not as good. That's number one. Number two, 5-year warranty. That's freaking insane. That is insane. Again, I mean, think about, there's no other company that does that. They do, but they'll nickel and dime you, right? You don't get the 5-year. You actually have to throw that in and pay that in as well. Now, there is one thing I see that it says plus free software. Now, explain that really quick.
Yeah, so we have our on-prem software, our SOTA image. This is different from the cloud product, but even with our on-prem, if you guys are in need of software, the software comes for free if you purchase the sensors. If you sign up for what we call SOTA Care, and that's just maintenance costs of upgrades and support and all of that good stuff, it's only $49 a month. But if you sign up for that, the software, which is usually valued at $2,500, is free. So it just makes up for itself in just a matter of months, and it's a great deal.
I love it. Okay, so this is directed to all you guys who probably are bordering from the Nifty Thrifty to almost like the cheap skate. Like you guys, this is for you guys, okay, who are like, you're on that border there. Like you're almost like super cheap, right? And you're touting this other sensor. I'm not going to even mention it because I personally think it's a scam, right? But you guys keep on saying, oh, I pay this and I pay this monthly service and I can get it swapped out whenever I want. And I keep telling you guys it's a scam, but whatever. You guys think it's great. This deal blows that away. So if you're just doing the membership sensor club thing that you're doing, that you're touting, if you work the numbers, this blows it away. And you're actually not using an inferior sensor because I think they are using an inferior sensor. This blows it away. So you guys know who you are using the company that starts with a J. It's dude, you're getting scammed, man. You need to come over here and do this. This is like a killer deal. And Albert, you said the deal. This is not like a nifty deal that lasts forever like these other deals. You said that when does this end? This is until the end of the year.
December 31st, 2021.
I mean, I'm telling you guys right now, you could cry on my shoulder and ask me to talk to them, but dude, they're gonna stay firm. All right, this is a killer deal. Okay, so if you want to get it. You take advantage of that. Okay, so I put in the links. There's some people that are dealers for SOTA imaging, so you can talk to them and you can reach out. I tagged Dustin in there as well, and you want to nerd out, you want to ask all the tech questions, he's ready to go. He's ready to go. But before we jump off here, and guys, thank you so much for jumping on. I know I told you guys I won't take up too much of your time, but man, we just got hyped up talking about sensors and cameras that we're definitely going over. Before I just jump off, I'll start with you, Dustin, and then Albert, I'll let you have the last words. What a message to the Nifty members when it comes to what you guys have, what you guys are offering, and just digital imaging in general. Dustin.
Yeah, I mean, being as hands-on as I am in all of these different projects and working day out or day in and day out with our engineering team and the support team and basically just the entire company. I mean, if you're looking for a company that produces the highest quality products at the best value, puts a lot of effort into making sure that we can support our customers, has a long-standing reputation for always standing by our customers, has an established history in the dental market. We've been around 30 plus years. I mean, SOTA is really the only choice here. I can tell you that having been here for a while, you're not going to find a better team of people to support you, in the years going forward once you purchase our products.
I love it. Albert, some last words to the Nifty members?
Yeah, I think Dustin summarized it really well, and I'll just put a little bit more emphasis on that. I've been in the industry for 15 plus years, and I've dealt with a lot of different companies in the industry, manufacturers, software companies. And one of the things I feel really proud about just being part of this organization is our team is top notch. When it comes to our R&D team led by Dustin, I don't think there's a better team out there when it comes to capability, just know-how, and then our just spirit of, really wanting to take care of the customers. And that starts from design and development. We really try to keep our ear to the ground and listen to the voice of customer and put that into our innovation loop. And when people or our teams are developing new products, we look at that very carefully, and that's kind of our philosophy here. So, and it shows. And I think the SOTA Cloud product, especially, it's a culmination of that and a manifestation of just going through that process. And so there's a difference why it's leaps and bounds better than anything else on the market. It's not by accident, it's by design. So if you want to be part of the SOTA family, the SOTA team, the state-of-the-art dentist, if you will, give us a call and we'll give you the rundown.
I love it. Guys, thank you so much for jumping on. I know you guys are busy and I know it went over, but man, this is such a great deal, and this is such a hot topic because people are always asking about sensors, asking about digital intraoral cameras. But guys, look, we have a killer deal. we'll put the landing page in there. Reach out to them. Reach out to Dustin. Reach out to Brandon. Reach out to Chloe. All these people, they'll talk to you about it. Reach out to me if you want to talk more about like the imaging. I know we talked about that as well. There's a lot of things that you should be thinking about, but one thing you should really take advantage of if you need a sensor, it's this deal. It's a killer deal. It's going to end at the end of the year. So guys, thank you so much for jumping on. Everyone that's watching, we'll see you guys later.
Thanks, Glenn.
Thanks.